Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called back to order. Today's date is October the 20th. The time is 9:43. Members of the panel today are Mr. Alvin Roche, Mr. Pete Freeman. My name is Tony Maribel. I'll be acting as chair today. Our remote facility this morning is Washita Parish. Would the staff at Washita please introduce themselves?
Good morning, Deputy Marshal in Washita Parish.
Thank you very much. Our first case this morning is going to be Miss Ashley Covington. Miss Covington, if you would please give us your full name and DOC number.
Ashley Elizabeth Covington, 608557.
Thank you, Ms. Covington. Let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board will conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated their wish to speak to have their input. Speaking today on your behalf is your son's grandmother, Miss Rebecca Varner, and your mother, Miss Ann Covington. Speaking in opposition, we have Miss Tara Broom, Miss Ashley Broom, Mr. Marlon Broom, and also present but not speaking is Miss Tammy Broom. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand our process?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Ashley Covington, DOC number 608557. Ms. Covington's date of birth is February the 8th of 1980. She is classified as a second felony offender. She has a parole eligibility date of April the 22nd of 2022, an adjusted good time date of August the 8th of 2023, and a full term date of October the 22nd of 2038. She is currently serving a 22-year sentence on the charge of vehicular homicide. Ms. Covington, is all of that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Covington, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Mr. Freeman will begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions he may have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning, Ms. Covington.
Good morning.
How old are you?
42.
And how long have you served on this charge?
Almost 6 years since
Okay.
October 2016.
Okay. What do you recall about October of 2016? Do you recall it?
No,
10/22.
no, sir.
Okay, so you don't recall anything. I mean, I know the report said you were kind of falling asleep and stuff of that nature. How long have you used drugs?
Since high school.
High school, okay. Have you ever had any treatment for drugs?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you taken any classes in DOC since
Yes,
you've been there regarding drugs? Okay, what you've taken?
I've taken all the drug abuse classes that they offer. I've taken Thinking for a Change, which tells you need to change, make wise decisions, change the people, places, and things that you're around. I've taken pretty much every class that DOC has to offer.
When did you take these classes? Do you remember
When
the
I was
year?
in Jetson,
Okay, when was that? What time period was that?
2018, I believe, to 2020.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Did you get an intoxication right up on 5/21/21?
Yes, sir.
So tell me about that. What happened? I mean, you're taking these classes. Ma'am,
I stumbled.
you stumbled. Okay, what did you do?
Xanax.
Okay. You have an extensive criminal history, all dealing with drugs. You were on supervision before for vehicular negligent injury. Tell me about that. What happened in that instance? Do you recall it? Okay, go ahead.
I was in a car wreck under the influence.
Okay, did you hit a trooper that was working a wreck? And then you had a 6-month bench probation for possession of drug paraphernalia. And that was amended to possession of I can't even pronounce it. But that was a drug charge. During your supervision record, how did you do on probation for the vehicular negligent injury? You have any problems while you on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what were the problems?
I failed a drug test.
Okay. Okay, you have a law enforcement opposition from the DA. Your mother, Ann Covington, is in favor. You have a lot of victim opposition. They are adamantly opposed to you getting out at this time. What damage you think you caused to that family?
Irreparable damage.
If you had a chance to say something to them, what would you tell them?
I mean, there's really no words. Nothing I could say could.
What's gonna be your sobriety plan when you get out?
Hello. Ms. Covington, can you hear us?
Just to stay focused. Attend classes and stay working. I want to keep both my jobs that I have.
What kind of classes you're gonna attend? What you're thinking about? Okay, what's gonna be your transition plan?
I plan on going home and spending time with my family and then moving back to Monroe and keeping both my jobs that I have.
Okay. Are you gonna take your children with you, or are you gonna leave them with your mother for a while?
They're gonna be with my mother for a while and Miss Becky.
Okay. You have a medium risk. What would you say if we offered you full long-term substance abuse treatment?
Like what?
Like 9 months to a year in a DOC facility?
Like classes? I don't understand.
No, like treatment. You know, obviously you relapsed since you've taken the other classes, like a Steve Hall program or something like that.
If I'm gonna be incarcerated, I'd like to stay and continue working so I could save money to be able to support myself when I get out. I've been doing really well. I have 2 full-time jobs. And I don't want to have to, I've put everybody through so much already. I'm very well aware of the hurt and pain I've caused everybody. Not just his family, but my family as well. I've put my mom through so much and she's never turned her back to me.
I have no further questions, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Covington. We'll now hear from Ms. Rebecca Varner. Ms. Varner?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you very well. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I am the paternal grandmother of Ashley's youngest son, who's now 7 years old. And Jackson has stayed with us since her incarceration. And the other side of this is Ashley has remained a part of his life and her other sons' lives as much as she could possibly be. She's called routinely, talked to him, sent him letters, drawings, toys when she could. She's sent, and lately she's been sending money since she's been in work release for his school supplies, food, clothing. I find that she is taking on responsibility now. She wants to be an active part of her children's lives. And, he has good conversations when she calls with him, because he was not even 2 years old when she was incarcerated. So he doesn't have any recollection of his mother being at home. But he knows her very well now. When she was in LWIC in Baker, we, along with Ashley's mother, who brought the other two boys to visit Ashley, I brought Jackson, and we all visited about every other week. And, it was very good visits. She was just hands-on with them and wanting to find out, their days and how they're doing, and trying to make sure they do right and all. And then, of course, when she got moved to North Louisiana, we weren't able to make those visits, but she continued with, the phone calls and, any other kind of media that was possible. So she had, for me, she has talked to me through the years, that her profound sorrow and remorse about what happened to Mr. Broom and his whole family, with his widow and all. She has said that. She has told me that she has spoken with counselors about that. I think this is just a small slice of what's been going on with Ashley all these years. She has been involved. I do see an increase with responsibility and wanting to do the right thing. I understand. And if she's willing, it's real important she gets help, as far as the addiction problem. And she has taken the classes, and I know quite a bit about addiction problems. I do have it in my family as well. And the key is treating the sickness and following through and all. So I do feel that Ashley has made a lot of progress in the last 6 years. And I would recommend that I would like to see her get out and take on her responsibilities, with her children and her family. I believe she's that now.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. We appreciate your comments, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Ms. Ann Covington. Ms. Covington?
Yes, sir.
If you would introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your daughter, ma'am.
My name is Ann Covington. I'm the mother of Ashley Covington. I think Ashley has done very well since she's been in. She's taken everything she can as far as the drug addiction. She has gone to BRCC and has gotten certified in horticulture. And she has saved a good bit of money now that she's in the work release, and she wants to keep on working. And I do think that she needs to go into a rehab to help her. But I think Ashley has made major strides in bettering herself. And I think her kids would love to see her get out too. She keeps in touch with them constantly, at least 2 or 3 times a week. She calls them. And the little ones I know would really love for her to get out and be able to spend time with her. We haven't seen Ashley in person since the pandemic. The children have not seen her in person since the pandemic. And then she got transferred to Monroe. So, but since she's been in the work release, she's holding down 2 full-time jobs. And the only time she goes back to the jail is to sleep. And then she gets up the next morning and goes back to work and works any overtime that they will let her work. So I think that she would benefit from getting out, and my heart goes out to the family. And Ashley and I have talked about the other family, and she is very regretful. She cries about it all the time. She said she wished she could do it all over again. So I know she is very sorrowful for the other family, especially the wife and the son.
Thank you, Ms. Covington. We appreciate your comments. Now we'll hear from Mr. Brian Broom's family, his widow, Miss Tara Broom.
All right. Statement today. What make sure everything. What to say it said. On October 22nd of 2022, my son and I, life was forever changed, knocked at the door. A police officer informing her that my husband Brad would never come home. In that instance, our lives came to a halt. Brian was an exceptional father to our then 6-year-old son, Jax. He was a loving husband and an exceptional father, and a friend to everyone who knew him. He never met a kinder, gentler soul. He was a blessing to everybody that had a chance to even get to know him. As friends and family showed up, Jackson became more confused and concerned about why everybody was there. The hardest thing I ever did my entire life was to look my 6-year-old son in the eye and tell him his dad was never coming home. But over the last 6 years, it's been very difficult. Birthdays, basketball games, award ceremonies, every moment that his dad was supposed to be there was replaced with empty chairs. And a constant feeling of something missing. I walk around daily feeling half alive. And until you've been there, you don't know how to use. Excess nightmares. And he's scared of being alone because he fears that if he's alone, that something will happen to him and he'll die. I guess because his dad was alone when he died. If I tell him I'm going to pick him up at 4:30, I better be there at 4:30, or else he starts to panic. He told us that he thought he was dead in the ditch. Months after Brian died, his brother couldn't take it. He had a heart attack and he died, leaving my niece without her father too. According to my mother's doctors, they think the stress of the whole situation caused her dementia to progress. I don't feel like Miss Covington is sorry. Based on, she didn't speak at sentencing. I got an apology letter, and the signature doesn't even match the handwriting of the letter. It makes me physically ill to think about the day that she's released, her driving the same roads as me and my son. Because I don't want to see her when she gets out. I ask that when the day she is released, that she's not allowed to live in Boston or Denver Springs. We don't need to see that. If she gets to rebuild her life eventually, we don't. We don't get to have her right back. But something you can have father. And I shouldn't have to, we shouldn't have to worry about seeing her in public and see her rebuild her life. The financial side of it, I may not be able to keep my house much longer. The house that my husband picked for my son's comfort zone. Everything has been a struggle the past 6 years. And I just don't believe that she should be able to get out.
Thank you very much, Ms. Broom. We
And I
appreciate it.
think she should never seek my forgiveness. She won't find it. But she needs to make it up to her kids. Because that's the most important thing.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll now hear from Miss Ashley Broom, sister of Mr. Brian Broom.
I just want to make a short and simple statement that we really shouldn't be here today at all. Had the defendant been adequately punished for her previous offenses, we wouldn't be here. My brother Brian would be alive, and my brother Lance would probably be alive still as well, having not had to suffer through this horrendous target and losing our older sibling, who was the person we looked up to the most and kept us all together. Ashley Covington has shown nothing but a pattern of escalation through the course of her life and her criminal charges. And is she reformed now, or is it a lack of availability to drugs and substances in the jail? Although learning today was not a lack of availability, because she did procure substances while in prison. And she may still be using and not getting drug tested. There's no way for us to know. And this is not something for vengeance for our family, that we've lost our brother, our son, our husband. It is not that. We already know that she's hurt a police officer. She's taken Brian. And so she's released. What's next? Who's next? Who's going to be in our position? And how can we rightly sit here and not plead for her to remain incarcerated and go to substance abuse, that she still doesn't even want to attend a substance abuse program, and that's what she needs. We know that her being incarcerated will not bring Brian back. It's not going to stop our hurt, but it might stop her from hurting another family. And we want her to not be able to hurt someone again. And if she is released, I don't want her around my sister and my nephew. They already have to live in the area and pass by where my brother passed. My brother passed away where he was killed. And I don't want them to have to see daily the woman that did that to them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Broom. Now we'll hear from Mr. Brian Broom's father, Mr. Marlon Broom.
Morning. I miss my son. But I don't want to come up here and say that I am antagonistic to this person that killed our son and our husband and sibling. I do believe that she has a right to rehabilitate herself, but I'm just not convinced that she's done that yet. I know she can see her mom and her grandmother on the TV here, or when she talks to her kids, but all we get to see is a tombstone. And talk to our son member. I would like to see some verified information that she has been to enough classes, been to enough rehabilitation courses that can confirm that she has tried to rehabilitate herself. I would like to see if and when she gets out, that she is monitored continuously to make sure that she will never be able to do this type of injustice to any other family. There's got to be some way that she can be monitored at least to make sure that another family doesn't have to go through what we've had to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Broom. We appreciate your comments. Ms. Covington, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before the board votes?
No, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Covington. Is the board ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Ms. Covington, it's admirable that you want to stay there and work two jobs, but the bottom line is you need that treatment. And you need to get it, are you still incarcerated? So I'm suggesting to you that maybe you look into going to the Steve Hall program or one of the long-term programs before your incarceration ends. Because your war isn't over yet. I mean, it's obvious you tested positive back in 21. That's after all the classes you took. So, like you said, you stumbled, but there's going to be a lot more opportunity to stumble once you get out of prison than there is while you're in prison. So my vote today is to deny due to the victim opposition, the write-up from 521, and the long criminal history involving drugs.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Rocha?
Good morning, Ms. Covington.
Good morning.
Ms. Covington, you have a long ways to go. In a short time to get there. Your good time date is in August of 2023. Based upon adamant opposition from the victim's family, based upon a moderate risk assessment, based on a need for additional substance abuse program, and a disciplinary write-up for intoxication in May of 2021, my vote is to deny your request. Mr. Chairman, I'm denying that request. I'm also recommending when she's released on good time to put 2 conditions on her good time release. First of all, she attends a outpatient substance abuse treatment program immediately after release. And she is to wear an alcohol bracelet for 12 to 18 months after release. Those conditions will be put on your good time release in August. Please take time out from work to take care of yourself. You need substance abuse treatment, and we will monitor your substance abuse and alcohol intake with that bracelet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Covington, as I listen to you, it reminds me of what I did in my former life. I was a judge. I presided over a drug court for 14 years. And I would hear drug addicts every day talk about how they wanted to go to work, they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that, they wanted to do all of the things except the hard work. And the hard work is to get rehabilitated. You are a drug addict. You seem to be a very decent woman. You've got children who love you, you care for them, you've got family support that cares for you, but you also have a disease. You're a drug addict. And that drug addiction makes you a danger to society until and unless you understand that. When you were asked about long-term treatment, you suggested, I don't need that. You didn't say that, but that's what you meant. I'd rather be working. You described a stumble as a slip up. Well, you know, you had a previous vehicular negligent injury charge that was as wake up a call as anyone would ever have. You were lucky no one was killed then. In your words, you stumbled again and you killed someone. It's not a stumble. No one is here saying you're a bad person, but you are a person with a disease. And until you recognize that fact, that you have a disease and you have to fight that disease every day of your life, and you're never going to get a vote for me. But as Mr. Roche points out, you've got a good time release date coming up in a year or so. And if you don't take advantage of the possibility of going to a long-term treatment facility while you're in jail right now and give up that work idea, I really fear that you're going to harm someone again and you're going to end up spending the rest of your natural life in prison. So I hope that you take the time you've got left in prison to look inwardly, to recognize your disease, and to try to get some treatment for you, recognizing it's going to be a lifelong struggle, a daily struggle. So I don't know if you're really hearing what we're saying, and maybe we're just lecturing and it's falling on deaf ears. But I really do hope that you listen to this, because as you see today, you have really, really caused some serious harm and grief to a lot of people. You can stop that, but you've got to look inwardly and able to be able. So you've got 3 votes to deny with a strong recommendation that you go to a long-term treatment facility while you're in DOC. And whenever you are released, that you wear an alcohol bracelet, scram bracelet, or something similar to that for at least 12 to 18 months after you're released, as well as attend inpatient treatment. Good luck to you, man.
Yeah, okay, so let's unpack this. Where do we start? Where do we start with you? I think that's a good look. Her arms crossed. I think Mr. Marabella said it best, and I think he was right. I don't think she was listening to a word. And frankly, I do think I wouldn't categorize her as I don't think she's a good person, so I might say she's a bad person because there was nothing that she did here that would make me really feel that she was remorseful. You know, there's one thing that caught my attention in her mother, in the widow's speech, the victim. She said that at her sentencing, she didn't even say anything to the judge. And then again, when she was asked to say something here at this hearing, she didn't say anything. You know, you could have had some sensitivity to what the widow had said, picked that up, and then it said something. You know, at first I saw when she was like wiping her eyes at the beginning and then looking at her nails, I was like, you know, it just looked like a whole show, but maybe it was just a bad habit because it continued without. She hit a police officer. Like Mr. Marabella said, that was the best wake-up call anyone can get. And then no, it didn't make a difference. She got back on the road. And then she killed a father. Did you hear that? How the 6-year-old is just completely traumatized? It looks like, you know, people have more experience, but it looks to me like she's been on meth for much of her life. She kind of has that facial structure, the missing teeth and things. This person is a hardcore addict. That's what we're dealing with. And the idea that she's obviously has not cured that because she got busted and she's going to get out on her good time date and she's going to be on the road. They were here and they gave her an opportunity to join a program and she said, no, I got 2 jobs. I'm working. Let me ask you, how much money have you taken and given to that little boy whose father you stole from him? If you were really remorseful, you could set aside a few dollars a day for his college fund. You know what? Just to show that you actually are remorseful. That would be authentic. They don't need to accept it from you. But if you put it aside and did that, why is that so difficult? It could be 5%, 2% of what you make, but it'd be something. It'd be the thought that counts here. No, I don't think she was listening to anything. I really felt like she feels like she's the victim here. It really felt to me like a pity party for her, whenever her mother spoke or her grandmother spoke, she would get what looked like authentic emotions. And when it was everyone else, with the, oh gosh, there's so much to unpack here. It's like I'm forgetting. Her mother mentioned the letter. And she said it wasn't even her own signature. And I believe it entirely. And you saw her face and then her like crocodile tears. She opened up her mouth like, that's not true. How dare you? You couldn't say anything when they asked you to talk about the victims today. You couldn't say anything at your court hearing, and you couldn't say anything on your final statement. So why would we believe you that you actually wrote that letter? No, you probably had a friend write that letter, and then you signed it. And I believe that 110% that that's what happened. And that's disgusting. What is so difficult about writing how badly you feel about taking a father and a husband and a son? Why can't you do that? It's scary to think that she's going to get out in a year and she's going to be on the road. It's sickening. It was interesting what the father of the victim said, you know? He doesn't want it to have retribution and to punish her. He just wants to make sure that they're safe. And he's right, they ain't safe. Well, no one is safe with her on the road. A bracelet for 1 year to 1.5 years? Okay. At best, that means we're safe for 1 year to 1.5 years. At best, because you can still do something and get in the car. Bracelet's not going to stop you. It's just going to get you caught. What gives us confidence that she's going to not get back on the road and kill someone? The victim's losing her house because her husband was killed by you. Her son is traumatized, growing up without a dad because of you, and you can't write a letter. You can't say sorry. It's interesting that this is not the first time we've seen this. It's not the first time we've seen this with vehicular DWI manslaughter. There's something where they're just incapable of owning up to what they did. And then she's getting out in a year anyways. She's only served 6 years. And she puts their family through this? You're getting out in a year. If she really showed remorse, if there was guilt, you would want to serve out your time because you'd be too ashamed but instead she makes the family uproot their lives to speak at the parole hearing. And she's getting out anyways. This isn't someone with just a drug problem. This is someone who, in my opinion, just doesn't care about anyone else but herself. And you know what? Looking at her, how her mother was acting, she was talking While the widow was giving her speech, her mother was talking the entire time. What disrespect. Then she turned off her video. What disrespect. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree in this one. And they even come out, her grandmother and mother, you got 1 year left. You don't want your daughter to go to drug treatment, to go to alcohol treatment, to get help? They should have a registry. They should have a registry for people like this. Like, they should have a registry, and there should be like a thing in our GPS that tells us when they're on the road so that we can stay off the road, so that we can keep our kids off the road. Because it's scary. It's someone in a moving weapon. It would be like someone carrying a weapon who has a history of shooting that weapon in a crowded theater. Whoops, I did it once. Oh, whoops, I did it again. Well, don't worry. We'll lock you up for a few years. You won't get any lessons on it. Go work 2 full-time jobs. So go save up your money, and then we'll send you out there with the loaded weapon again. Let's see what happens. I'm done. I'd love to hear your thoughts.